Hello and welcome back to Conquering the JavaScript Interview. Today we're going to be diving into the heart of array condition checking with two indispensable, fun word, array methods, some and every. Both methods help us test arrays against certain conditions. So are you eager to enhance your condition checking prowess? We're going to get started. But first, little hashtag ad. There is a link down in the description below for the Covalence community membership. For $25 a month, you get access to our front end and back end courses. Combine them, and that is our full stack program. I also have a standalone beginner to advanced React course. I'm currently working on converting this series, Conquering the JavaScript Interview, into an entire post-graduation course. So if you're interested in all of these videos with more in-depth explanations, a companion repository, and other advice on finding a job, then feel free to sign up for our community membership. I'm also in the process of figuring out some other courses as well, and you get access to all those with no extra charge to you. You also get access to our community in Discord, where you get to chat with me and other Covalence alumni, employees, and get tons of real-time help that you may not be able to find on Reddit threads or Stack Overflow with extra in-depth explanations. So if you're interested in that, check the description down below for that and the code pen for this video. Otherwise, like I said, let's get started. So some and every came in the ECMAScript 5th edition, or ES5, back in 2009. These some and every methods have since become pretty quintessential tools in every developer's toolbox. They are rooted in functional programming, where these methods offer a declarative approach to checking array items against conditions. These methods further underscore JavaScript's progression from a mere scripting language, as people memed on, well, they still meme on JavaScript in that regard, from a mere scripting language to a comprehensive programming powerhouse, a group of the tools developers need to write more expressive and cleaner looking code. So with some and every, they simplify the process of checking array items against specific conditions. So they are begin iterating over the items in the original array. For each item, we apply some kind of condition function. And then here's the two differences. We have some, return true if at least one item meets the condition. For every, return false if at least one item fails the condition. That's pretty much the only difference. Some returns true as soon as a single array item meets the condition, and conversely, every returns false the moment an item fails the condition, right? So they are really good for checking array values. For example, like in my prompts here, making sure a set of numbers, at least one number can meet a condition, or if every number passes or fails a condition, for example. This can be particularly useful in like validating or verifying data integrity. If you have an array of objects of like users with names and ages and admin status or roles or security roles or something like that, you can verify this data integrity by looping through and making sure nobody's age is below 0 before continuing. You want to make sure that before you display this information, or before it could potentially cause some kind of goofy UI or even, at worst, runtime error on your app, by just verifying that all the ages are above 0, all the names are strings, or something like that. So you can run some kind of check on data integrity, which is very nifty. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and start implementing them like we do in these videos. The point is to implement our own versions of them, as the prompt says. And I just have like your generic, just a couple tests if you want to run through it yourself, or just grab it from the code pen. So let us begin. So just like in every instance I do this, we are going to be doing this by modifying or adding a new method to the array object prototypes. I don't advise you do this in the real world. This is more of I know how to do this because it's cool, because it makes me look super cool in interviews, and it shows I know what I'm doing. But I can also discuss, hey, I wouldn't do this on a project because I don't want other developers being confused where these methods came from, or if you happen to modify one to do something different, that's really going to mess with people without proper documentation. So again, we're going to write the code this way as if interview prep, and also be prepared to discuss why we wouldn't do this in a real code base. But nevertheless, as always, let's dive on into array.prototype. Let's start with the sum function. We're going to pass it or assign it a function. And just like in our other code examples, remember we have a callback function we're going to be running to apply our condition check here. Just like in the other snippets of code, this is going to be iterating over elements in an array. Remember, in JavaScript, the keyword this gets its context from the thing furthest to the left of the dot. In our case, it will be whatever array, for example, the array of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, input R right there. And if we chained on our custom method, the thing furthest to the left of the dot is the array of those numbers. So therefore, the keyword this becomes the array. That is what we're going to be referencing it as. Then we're going to have our condition inside of here. Remember, so long as one thing passes the condition in a sum, it returns true. If it goes through the entire list of elements and finds nothing that returns true, we only have one option, which is return false. From here, we're going to say call our callback, invoke our callback function. We're going to pass it 3 arguments. The first argument, just like in our other examples in this little mini array architect series, is the array element itself, the index of said element, and the array itself, should it be needed somewhere inside of our code. And that's it. We have our lovely custom sum function. While we're here, we can always just copy and paste this and actually modify it very quickly. Again, why I decided to not stretch this content really thin into 2 videos and again combine these into 1 video because it just kind of made sense to me. Let's go ahead and write our other one by simply copying and pasting our sum function. And again, this is a great way to keep in mind or kind of like train your muscle memory to remember how related they are. We're going to change it from custom sum to, surprise, custom every. It's still going to be passed a function whose sole parameter is a callback function. It's going to have the callback function will have the same 3 parameters, the element, the index, and the array itself. It's going to loop through all the elements, except remember, it's reversed. So long as one thing fails, we return false. Otherwise, if everything passes, we return true. And the only major difference we have to achieve that is making sure we just test against the not operator. If that callback test does not prove to be true, then we return false from the value. And that's it. That is the only difference in the every. That's how I can go through every element, and as long as it passes, we get true. If one happens to fail, the opposite of the fail, aka a false would be, or falsy would be true. Therefore, it returns false because something failed. Remember, that's the big difference, and that's all there is to it. So let's go ahead and implement some tests here and see what we can get going on, and then we'll sign this video off pretty quick today. So we're going to do some, and let's go ahead and do a copy paste in an every. Yeah, so I think we just did like a couple of numbers, and like I said, let's just do this down here. Yeah, so we'll do input array dot custom sum. For each number, we're gonna do a number greater than 3, and maybe for the custom every down here, as long as the number is greater than 0, right? So in the sum case, is there at least one number that's greater than 3? Yeah, we have 4 and 5. So it doesn't matter. 5 actually doesn't matter. Remember, it returns true on the first element, aka the 4. So this should return true. And then our custom every function, it's going to go test every number until at least one fails. But everything is greater than 0, which means it will pass every single test, which means once I save this file, we should see a double true appear up there in the console window. And just like that, we have done it. So let's go ahead and see if this is the case here. If I change this as every number greater than 4, we know 5 is not greater than 4, so it gets to the end of the array and does indeed report false. Now, is every number greater than 6? There's not a single number greater than 6, so we get a false there. 5 should also be false because it's equal to. But if I do greater than or equal to 5, at least one passes and we get true. I know I had other conditions up here, but that's more for my CodePen guys and gals that may go to the CodePen and try implementing this themselves. Kind of like just a couple tests you can quickly test yourself against. But I mean, I kind of did these. If any number is equal to 6, if you're trying to find like, hey, is there a 6 somewhere in this array? Is there at least 1, 5, or 4, or 3 somewhere in this array? Yeah, it's true. Once I save the file, it is indeed true. So, yeah, I mean, that's all there is to the sum and every function. They are great to know and great to know the differences on, especially for beginner interviews. Being able to write out some of these array methods yourself might be something you get asked. I've had at least one recent student get asked some of these questions here, or something similar to this, because again, like probably your interviewers are people and developers too. If it's like a mid-size or small company, they may not have like a formal interview process. So their interview might be like, hey, let's see if you can just implement some array methods so you can show me, you can think in like good vanilla code, and these array methods you may be accustomed to already using. An old head might be like, we didn't have these back in my day, I had to write them all by hand. So you may get someone that loves asking questions like this. But nevertheless, it still adds another tool to your tool belt. It expands your brain to think in new ways. And even writing the code that you already use. So like if you already use these sum and every and all these other array methods, then being able to write out how they work under the hood is a fantastic bit of practice I do recommend everybody does. Like I had said, these are great for data validation. User input verification is kind of tangential to that. Feature flags is a major one, something like an every could go through. Determine if any or all conditions are met to activate certain features on your application, especially if you have different tiers of users. Then clearly certain feature flags should be on or off depending on that user's info. So again, being able to determine which features are on or off is a great use case of some of these array methods down here. But remember, sum returns true as soon as it finds a match, while every returns as soon as it finds a non-match. That's the big difference between the two, and I want you to remember that. And then on top of that, overusing them in complex conditions can be kind of a pitfall. For intricate conditions, breaking down the logic or using other methods might lead to clearer code, since these, if you have really, really complex conditions, you can see these are simple and good to go with, which is what they are excel at. But just like other previous videos, I'm not going to make the array of a million things long. I think you already get the idea from the first two videos I did that in terms of timing on these things. But again, performance implications, they both have the ability to short circuit, meaning they can return early and not have to iterate over an entire array of a million elements. That potentially speeds up the checks pretty dang well. So yeah, thanks for joining us as we traverse through the terrain of sum and every. As we continue to explore JavaScript's vast landscape, our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to code confidently. If you found this exploration enlightening, give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing for deep dives into JavaScript universe. Leave comments for ideas that you want to see turn into videos. I'm always on the hunt to make new videos, and coming up with video ideas myself can be kind of intimidating over the long run. So if you have any ideas, get in the comments and let us know. If you're a community member or in our Discord already, come ping me inside of there. Be like, hey, I want to see X, and I'll see the best I can do. Otherwise, I hope you'll have a great time. Happy coding. Remember to check the comment or the description down below for a link to our community membership and the code pen for this video should you want it yourself. Bye.